In May of 2000, I was hit by a gal that ran a stop sign. My car rolled several times, and I woke up in a hospital. So my story begins with me not knowing what it was to be human, to be connected to anything from my prior life. It was deleted memories of 50 years. At that point, I was, actually just starting completely over. By the time I got through the acute hospital, I had been introduced to one son, the youngest one that still lived with me, and that process meant being reintroduced to him was, I think, interesting for both of us. When they brought him in, my friend brought in her two sons, so there were three boys that all looked about the same, and I didn't know which one to choose. So I think it was that little vignette is probably what the rest of my getting back to leading a normal life was. Everything was trial and error. Everything was something going to give me a clue who I was, what I had been doing. No. I read a resume that told me what I had been doing, and none of it reflected anything that I knew about. None of it reflected anything I was familiar with. Nothing happens that clues you into what you were. So deleted memories is just that. Imagine just having everything that you've ever done be completely gone. The process of then finding out what could I do was a matter of volunteering at a hospital to find out. They put me on a computer. I was entering the data of what other volunteers at the hospital were doing so I could find out if I could do computers again. After they ran the reports of the information I had input in the computer, they said, no, please don't do that. Maybe it would be better if you interacted with some of our patients. So it turned out that I was doing better working with people instead of with numbers. There were a lot of things that changed based on what I had been doing, what the resume said I had done, and what I was doing. I was encouraged to go back to school, and I thought maybe that meant I was going to be going to start over again in kindergarten. No, the idea was to go to Drucker School at Claremont Graduate University, and when I did that, it was a master's degree ultimately, and working with Peter Drucker. So when you have that opportunity, I don't know that I would have done that. The road and journey has been one that I may not have had any other way. So when you have this kind of opportunity, you kind of roll with it and say, regardless of what has happened, I have to say that I've had some opportunities that have been absolutely amazing to get to know Peter Drucker and his wife Doris and some of their kids, and the people that have gone to CGU, and the people that I've met through Pomona Valley Hospital and Casa Colina Rehabilitation Hospital, and all of these different experiences has really been an amazing journey. How do you deal with it? How do you get around the fact that you don't remember what it was like to celebrate birthdays with your kids, or to know what it was like when they were toddlers or going through school? I guess you have to decide what's really important about life. And being here now and living this moment is pretty special. So I think that as you get through these things and realize that being and existing are more important than having that stuff that a friend of mine said, with all this baggage that he carries around, he spent a lot of money with psychiatrists. And so to be rid of it, I didn't recommend doing it the way I did, but to get rid of that baggage is pretty good. It's not that bad to be without it. I suppose there are some memories I'd like to have back, and some memories are fine just gone. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it's what you're handed in your path on life and how you decide to cope with it. So I decided part of my coping with it was to, all the research, all the different resources I found and that others were finding around me, it was to have a clearinghouse of that. And the best way these days in doing that was to have the internet do it. So therefore, early on it was finding an internet website so that there would be a place to put these resources, to have other people put their stories, other people put their resources, and get the story out there, so that other people didn't have to start from scratch like so many of us do, in trying to find out how do you find a way to put your life back together again. And so many of my friends through the hospitals have been able to get back their life. They didn't lose all their memories. They didn't have, no two brain injuries are the same. I think that's the most significant thing I could say. So everybody has to find their own way and what they can get back, they can do. And so it makes for a very interesting journey. It makes for a very interesting putting the right resources together, putting the right combination of things together, and making sure that you go out there and keep looking. Because it's not like they say, where 6 months in, you're as good as you're ever going to be. People today are finding 20 years after an incident that they're able to do things that get back memories and be able to do things that they haven't done in that amount of time. Oops. Let's cut.
That's a good stopping point.